Okay, we're all set.
All right, good evening, everyone. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we start the agenda. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just a couple of quick things. Obviously the talk of the year, I think, is the COVID. I just wanted to let you know about our village. I think we are right now about 4.4% or 4.2%. The national average in Nassau County is about 5.8%, so we're doing slightly better, but again, not as good as we would like to do. We still, I believe, in yellow. We did not advance, thank God, to orange or red, at least as of yet. So I encourage everybody to continue wearing their mask and social distance. Please, please, please stay away from large gatherings. Even, if you're gathering in small places, I think try to make sure that you stay away. I know the outdoors are now difficult to do, but try to even wear masks or sit very far apart, so you're not getting exposed or exposing others. Unfortunately, I'm sure people know about what happened with North Shore Hebrew Academy. They were hacked by these anti-Semitic tropes, and it's very sad to say that it has come to our shore. Again, it has risen its ugly face, this anti-Semitism, and as I have said before many times, anti-Semitism is always the litmus test to rise of racism, and it never starts with the Jews, but it never ends with the Jews. I urge everyone to stand strong and stand united against any kind of hate, and I hope that we can together defeat these thugs and bigoted people who come and try to disturb our lives even more than what COVID has done. I don't know if we have Robert on. Do we have Robert on?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, 1 second. He is Robert. Please unmute yourself.
Yes. Hello.
Right. So before you start, I just wanted to say I was.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Robert, wait a second. So I was very disturbed by what the article was written. The article that was written, I believe it was a week and a half ago in New York, Great Neck News. I thought that this should have been in a fair fashion. Unfortunately, they failed to yet again be non-partisan and try to listen to both sides properly before they print. I would like for people to hear facts and not just opinions. I know that we live in a free country and we're all entitled to our opinions, but I think when you're sending a message out there and trying to put an article together, I think it's very important to actually listen to both sides and send the right message. So I believe that Great Neck News failed. I'm here to hopefully help them correct the situation. I asked Robert, who was actually spoken about without him being present, to speak today in a very brief way to say what exactly happened for people to know. And I'm hoping that the Great Neck News does a better job of reporting this than it did a couple of weeks ago. So Robert, that said, I would like for you to just say a couple of words, not a couple of words, but just
yes.
Keep very brief.
Yeah, I thought that just quoting something that somebody comes and says behind me in the newspaper is very preposterous and insulting, without any fact checking. Basically, I don't even understand what the argument is. She's claiming that I don't know the codes. Which codes is she talking about?
Okay, Robert, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. Right. This is not to attack Jean. I don't want to do that. I just want you to say the facts of exactly what happened. It's not the matter of you not knowing the codes or,
Yes.
Obviously we all agree that you do know the codes.
You mean as far as the work
I just
that was
want to
done.
know, because there was a claim that certain things was done, that because of that, now she's not having proper
Okay.
drainage. So just very briefly and without really going
Okay.
What
into
happened?
any,
All
right, just what happened.
It's extremely, extremely simple. It's simple. I don't know why she doesn't understand. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to refer to people again. This gentleman at number 46 Arundel Avenue, first of all, they have a shared driveway. The property line is in the middle of the driveway, which is a very, very rare case in Great Neck. There are some shared drivers, but they're 2 cars wide here and there. But this one is 1 car wide, and it's a shared driveway, half and half. Now, the shared driveway leads to a Y at the end, and then it goes 2 ways to their own, each other's garages, okay? Now, the neighbor at 46 Arundel had a sunken, broken asphalt driveway, and they were getting a lot of water ponding in there. The water was going into their basement. So they decided to fix it, and they did it. They got a permit. They did it. They did a very nice job. They paved it with brick and they leveled it. Now the neighbor at 44 comes up and says, why did they raise their patio or driveway 4 inches above mine? I'm trying to understand what she's getting at, and she wasn't making her point. Eventually, after discussions, we realized that her water was running into number 46. And she thinks that something like that is grandfathered. When I was talking to her, I said, what's the problem? They don't want your water. What's the problem here? They had every right to level their patio, level their driveway, and it created, inadvertently, it created a 4-inch ledge. So the water from 46 now no more runs into 44. No more runs into number 46. And let's do this. Let's talk about this. In older houses in Great Neck, the rainwater in driveways is grandfathered to run into the streets. After a certain date, I don't know when the codes changed, and now the new houses have to put catch basins and trench drains so to collect the water into a dry well so it doesn't go into the street. But those houses are grandfathered for their driveways for the water to run into the streets, okay? However, water running into a neighbor's backyard is not grandfathered. They have every right to block it, and they did. There was nothing wrong with what they did. And also, I tested the patio. The patio is pitched away from Gene Pierce. It's pitched to their own backyard. They have a very large backyard, actually. And all of it is pitched away from Gene Pierce. Now, Gene Pierce is still complaining. I don't understand the nature of her complaint. She was telling me that, oh, this water was running there for 50 years. How come they didn't mind? I mean, isn't that preposterous to say?
Okay,
well,
so
they didn't mind because, now they mind. These new owners, they bought this house 5 years ago, and there was a lot of ponding in their backyard and in the driveway, and water was going into the basement was very wet. So they decided to take care of this issue, and they pushed the water away. And they did it. They did a nice job. So I don't understand the argument.
I'm sorry, Robert. So I think that's clear enough. So you're saying that the water is the water from the neighbor is actually pitched away, and it's not running into Mrs. Pierce's property. And the
Precisely.
water from Mrs. Pierce's property was running into this neighbor, and now
Yes.
it's not doing that anymore.
Yes, when
Have
I
you
asked her,
spoken, have you spoken to Ms. Pierce to make sure that she can remedy the issue by possibly raising her driveway so it goes away from her house, so she doesn't get
I
any?
don't even know, see, I don't even know what her situation is in her own driveway in front of her own garage, but all I can tell you is that in this shared driveway, there is an area which is about 3 feet by 6 feet, an oval shape. And it's at its deepest, it's about 1.5 inches deep. So when she's claiming that she's going to drown, you know, nobody can drown 1.5 inches of water at its deepest point. And then all it takes is a few bags of blacktop to patch it, so the water runs into the street. There's an indentation near the Y where the two driveways split apart. There's an indentation, and that's what she's complaining about.
I don't know. I
understand.
think so. So I would like for two things. One, I would ask Steve Haramis and you possibly to reach out to her and try to see if there's a way you can offer her to remedy the situation. Obviously, I'm sure there are ways of fixing it. And two, just be available for comments, not comments, but for questions, so this can be clearly, the message can be sent out clearly that this was done all according to the code, and it was acceptable by the building department.
There was nothing wrong with what the neighbor did in terms of codes.
Right. Okay.
That's
I just wanted that to be clear, and I think that's clear. Yes. Thank you very much, Robert.
Yes, right.
Can I just ask one question? Where is it pitched to now? When they corrected it, where's
to the backyard, to the grass part, the backyard of number 46.
46, okay.
Which is further away from Jean Pierce.
Okay.
And it's further away from both houses. It used to be right next to the house at number 46. And that's why they were getting water in their basement. So now it's pitched away.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, so we can get with the agenda. I hope that's clear to the news as well.
So the first item on the agenda, we have the Building Department November 2020 report.
Yes.
So this is Steve, if you would like to go over your report, Steve, or you have anything else to share?
So this was respectfully submitted. Brian, do you have the inspections, the summonses, the building permits that were issued?
Abraham, if you go back to it, I think it was either the first or second
I'm
page.
trying to put it up again. There was some window in the middle. Okay.
Do you have the other one?
There's only one. I'm sorry. Did you add the other one? I just see this one.
Yeah, Brian, did you add the other one, the monthly report?
I did. I don't know why it didn't pop up.
Okay, I'll just run through it real quick. The building department had 32 applications. We collected $26,666. We approved 25 permits. We have 5 pending. We issued 2 certificates. We had 130 inspections by the inspectors. We had 15 complaints. 8 of them were issued violations and 1 summons was issued. And that is respectfully submitted by my department.
Thank you.
Is there any question on that report? Okay, the next item is Department of Public Work November 2020 report.
Hello, everybody. I don't really have anything to add to this particular report, but I do want to just let everybody know that I did on Friday night paint the parking stalls at lot number 4, which is behind Everfresh. As we spoke about, we took away the 2 spots. The contractor reconfigured the barricades back there. I put all the signs up for one-way directions, closed the and the north entrance so that you can only leave. I put signage up over there, and I restriped a lot where I was able to get, even though I took 2 spots away, I added 3 other spots, at least on a temporary basis until this building is done, and then we can try and figure out how to reconfigure the whole lot.
Louis, I got a couple of people telling me that unfortunately there are still people that are driving the wrong way. What do you think about putting one-way painting on the floor? Just paint the floor one way, so at least they can see that. I don't know. I actually went there.
Did think about putting some arrows in there. I don't know how much it will help.
I don't know. I think, listen, you know what? I think to me it was very clear, but I don't know. I heard a few complaints that people still drive in to the north entrance and they actually drive south through where it says do not enter. So maybe if we put in arrows, maybe that's going to make it clear. So if that's not a big deal to do, maybe you can just, I don't know, it's going to snow tomorrow. Maybe we'll see what happens after.
We'll see what happens when the weather after this snow, that I may be able to get in there on a good day and just paint it. The problem with even doing that lot is getting in there to do any kind of work, because the lot is always so busy. That's why I did Friday night, because there was nobody around and it was just made life a lot easier. And even then, believe it or not, there was still a lot of cars that were still driving, through the lot, as well as a lot of people were walking through the lot because they were coming through the Margot gate there and walking through.
Right. The other thing I want to ask you, I'm sure we are ready for tomorrow. We have the staff ready. We have everything ready for tomorrow's store.
Yep. Everybody is all set.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
All the equipment is ready to go.
All right. The other thing I want to tell people, just make sure, because there's going to be wind gusts, make sure that you clear the patios. I don't know if Karen is on, or if Brian, you can put it on the website. Just let people know that we should make sure that the patios are clear for these objects not to fly around to the neighbors' houses.
Yep, we'll do.
Mayor, one more thing.
Yeah.
I did bring Robert over to look about the staircase in the corner there. So we're just waiting on Robert.
You mean
Yes.
by the
in the corner?
The alert?
Yeah, by the firehouse.
Okay, great. All right. So if you can ask.
Me and Robert over there, we measured it all out, and Robert was kind of to do it while working.
By the way, Louis, when did we meet over there? You remember which day was it?
That was last Wednesday, I think it was, maybe.
Wednesday of last week?
Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Was it Thursday?
Last week. Okay. All right. Yeah. By the way, I did a test today and I tested negative. So that's good news, because I think we have contact. Yeah. But anyway, we looked into that idea, whether to put a staircase there, set of stairs, or a ramp. And we didn't really come up with the good enough reason why a ramp would be required there, because a ramp would be required either between 2 sidewalks or between a sidewalk and a private parking lot, which is required to have handicap facilities. This is between a street and a village parking lot. So I can't find any reason why an ADA ramp would be required there. So I think just a set of stairs would be adequate.
That's great.
We discussed this with Steve, and we couldn't really find a reason why a ramp would be required there.
Okay. Also, I remember that we did discuss the southeast corner for it to be some kind of a sitting area. So if we can have that also presented, maybe we can start doing something right after the winter.
Okay, that sounds
All
good.
right. Next item.
Oh, Abraham, you're on mute, Abraham.
I'm sorry about that. Mr. Schneider at 22 Ravine Road submitted a tree removal application on November 3rd. This was regarding 2 trees that are on the back of the property. The building inspector, Mr. Mordecai, went and inspected the 2 trees. During the inspection, he found out that one of the trees is dead, in fact, so there's no requirement for replanting. However, the other one is leaning and it should be relocated. So the procedure that we have at building department is we allow them to cut down the tree on the condition that they replant another tree. When the tree is cut down during the time that you cannot replant, such as now, like end of November, beginning of December, middle of December, the code allows the superintendent to impose $1,000 replanting bond, which will sit in the village's trust account. And upon replanting and upon inspection to make sure that the tree meet the code, the $1,000 or whatever the amount of the deposit has been will be returned to the applicant. According to Mr. Mordecai, who went to the site, as I mentioned, one of the trees is dead. The other one has to be relocated and there's a $1,000 bond required. Mr. Schneider contacted his lawyer, and Mr. Schofeld, I believe, is the lawyer. You could see the letter on your screen that they are saying that given that the tree is an imminent danger to the safety, the $1,000 bond should not be imposed, and they do not seek to replant when they cut down the 2 trees. So they're coming to get some sort of relief from the board. Mr. Mordecai, would you like to further discuss this matter?
Yes, sure, yeah. Okay, I usually look around the property, and if the property is really forested, I don't ask for a replanting of, if they're cutting a nice tree for any reason, I ask for replanting. In this case, they have a large open backyard and they're cutting 2 trees down. It's very hard for me to determine which tree is going to fall or is in imminent danger. I look at the trees, some trees look sick, some trees are slightly leaning, but it doesn't mean they're going to fall. But anyway, if they don't like it, I approve that. The code requires that, I ask for a replanting of a deciduous tree, meaning a leaf-bearing tree. In this case, I'm not even sure the species of the trees. I think the code also says a likewise tree. Like if you're cutting down a pine, you can plant a pine on the arborvitae or a hemlock or something. In this case, however, and in some cases, we ask the property owner wants to replant before they cut down the other tree, so to avoid the bond, and that's also acceptable. They do a replanting, I go check in, I come and approve the cutting of the other ones without a bond. In this case, this gentleman had already replanted 16 arborvitaes on their property line. They're like evergreen pine trees. To me, they're acceptable, perfectly acceptable, but as per the code, I'm not authorized to make that decision because the code says deciduous tree. But if the board wants to approve it, I'm fine with it. They wouldn't need any replanting. in this case.
Do you
I mean,
have, you
it's still
examine,
yes, yeah.
you
I'm sorry.
examine the trees, and they were healthy trees, or one
They
of
were
them
not
was dead?
healthy trees. They were not healthy trees. You know, it's very hard to determine. I'm not basically a tree expert, but I can tell if the tree is near something, is damaging something, it's leaning, it's dry, it has rot and mold on it. These two trees did not look very good. But then again, I have no reason to believe that they're in imminent danger. That I cannot determine. You know, sometimes you cut a very healthy looking tree down and you realize the core is all, there's a void in the tree trunk and it was about to fall anyway, but it looked healthy from us.
Right. So I think we a while ago, maybe about 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, we had an issue, and we discussed it that situations like that, they can hire an arborist to come in
Yes.
and evaluate the tree. And if the trees are really imminent, dangerous, or if they're not really unhealthy, but if something, storm happens and they can fall and it can significantly damage the house and be dangerous to the house or to the surrounding individuals, I think at that time we said that they can cut, and then put other trees. What kind of trees are these? These are arborvitaes?
No, they were not. They were not evergreens. I think, if I can remember correctly, they were deciduous trees. But I'm not 100% sure. I'm 95% sure. But I could always go and check again. I mean, if they're pine trees, then the replanting of the arborvitaes would be good enough.
May I be heard? I'm the
Yes.
attorney for the Schneiders.
Just state your name and address for the record.
Robert Schaufeld, 85 Grace Avenue, Great Neck, 11021.
Thank you.
I've been advised by the Schneiders that both of the trees are pine trees. The larger tree is dead and the smaller tree is leaning. And if you can see in this picture, the tree is substantially uprooted at the bottom and is leaning over the fence. And the Schneiders are very concerned that if this tree does fall over, it's going to hit the house next door.
Uh-huh.
Well, you know, can I interrupt here? Basically, there was no argument as to whether they can cut the trees down or not. You know, it was approved that they could cut the trees down. The issue was about the replanting.
But since they're both pine trees and they planted 16 arborvitae on one side and 6 on the other property line, that should satisfy the requirement for replanting.
That would, yes, sir, that would. If I can just go back tomorrow and just double check that they are pine trees, then I will you know, delete the replanting requirement, because they had already replanted a whole bunch of arborvitaes.
How large are the arborvitaes?
Was that?
How large are the arborvitaes that were planted?
Well, you know, arborvitaes usually come in about a person's height, about 6 feet or so. And some species grow to taller, like 8 or 9 or 10 feet. Some species grow to about 7 feet. You know, that's I think the ones there were about 5 feet tall or something like that.
Well, the ones that I have already grow to about 20 feet.
It depends on the species.
Yeah.
These are giants.
No, so they will grow. Robert, do me a favor if you can just, not Mr. Schofield, but if you can just make sure that these are the same species, and that if that is, then we can just waive the fee and move forward.
I will go there tomorrow, early in the morning, before the snowstorm starts, hopefully. And I will check it again, and I take some pictures for our records.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Mr. Schofield, anything else to say?
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of the board.
All right, thank you. All right,
The next item on the agenda is a request by the town of North Hempstead to put a banner across Middle Neck Road at the intersection of Woolies Lane. You could see the banner on your screens.
Yeah.
Are they installing it or is DPW putting it up?
It's just a temporary, just like any other banners that they put up. They dropped it off today. Brian received it.
Okay.
so I believe Louis and his crew are going to put this up.
That's what usually happening.
Right. Louis, I think the best place for it would be by Everfresh because that's the most trafficked area.
I don't have cables, but
I don't. So where would you think?
No,
you would put it? Oatmeal?
I have cables at Fairview, and I have a cable at Woolies Lane at both on at Fairview or at Woolies Lane.
So Woolies Lane would be pretty much almost at the entrance of the village. Member of the board, do you guys have any comments of where you think it should be? Woolies or Fairview?
I think Woolies.
I agree. I think Woolies because it's the approach to the village.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I agree.
Woolies it is.
And I'll move it.
Second,
Okay, all,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
okay.
Unanimous with trustee Kashi is absent.
Okay,
The next item would be a request for a handicap parking spot in front of 802 Middle Neck Road. So 802 Middle Neck Road, those are the townhouses that we have. This complex, I believe, starts at the corner of Steamboat Road and it goes, I believe, through Red Brook. I'm going to put up the picture of it in just a moment.
I don't have a conflict.
Goes to Brown Road.
Brown Road. No.
Brown Road, okay. As you could see here, usually there is no traffic. I've passed many times in
isn't
front of
Academy Garden?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I passed many times. Many of the residents are empty, I believe, because they're trying, I believe, to renovate it. There's basically parking available all day. The problem that this resident has is a 2-hour, 90-minute parking that you have from 9 to 7. They came to the village, they spoke to Brian regarding finding a parking spot to park. Brian explained to them that, you know, the 90-minute parking, it's throughout Middle Neck Road, it's not just in front of their apartments. They later came back and they wrote an email to Brian, which I can share it with you in just a moment, asking if the village can put a handicap spot in front of their apartment. Now, we are trying to explain it to them that even when you put a handicap spot in any place, it is still subject to the regular local traffic parking laws, such as 90 minutes parking, no overnight, or no parking from 6 to 9 certain days of the week. I don't believe if the residents understood that point, that even if you have a parking handicap spot, that is still subject to the regular traffic and parking laws. The only other place that I'm aware of along Middle Neck Road in the village that has a parking spot, a handicap parking spot, is in front of 444 Middle Neck Road, which I can pull it up and you could see that right on that pole that it's right in front of the building, all the other rules are posted as well. So I can just, if you just give me one moment, I pull up that as well. And I'm sharing it right now. As you could see, this is 444 Mill Neck Road, and this is the handicap spot right here. And as you could see, there's a 2-hour parking 7 to 7. There's overnight parking allowed, and there's no parking 6 to 9 on Mondays. So if the board wishes to install a handicap spot there, it's the decision of the board, but that will not eliminate any other parking regulations that we have along that side of the road.
I think a conversation must be held by the applicant just to see if the reason really is that they want a 90 minutes waived. Obviously that we do not have, and I think I'm going to ask Louis to put his 2 cents there. As far as the parking itself, usually we put in handicap parking. If there's no parking available, there are very few parkings, and it's very difficult to get to a place. So we'd like the handicap to be closer to the entrance to where they have to go. Based on what you showed, that area, and based on what I have seen, that area is pretty much empty most of the time, if not all the time. So to put a handicap stall, I think the only thing it does, we're just going to put some paint on the floor and a sign, but it's not going to really change much. Louis, do you agree, or do you have something to add?
I don't think that you should change any of the time restrictions, because that's what they are consistently throughout the whole Middle Neck Road corridor. That's one thing. And I don't think that you're going to benefit by putting a handicap spot there. It's not like 444 where you have limited amount of parking, or it's tight parking. There seems to be plenty of parking there.
Right. So, I mean, I sympathize with the applicant if it's difficult for them to move the car, but maybe they can find a different kind of an arrangement. I think there's some parking right across 7-Eleven. I don't know if they can actually get some permit to park their cars there, or just rent a space across 7-Eleven. Sorry?
I think there's behind the building itself. There's a parking lot.
I don't. There is one? Okay, why is it that they're not using it?
I don't know.
I'm not sure exactly. Brian, do you know, did you speak to them about that issue?
No, I didn't even know about the parking there. I didn't even think about it at the time when I spoke to them.
All right, so why don't we do this? Why don't we discuss it with them and see what they say? I mean, I'm willing to listen, but I think we're not going to really help them by putting a handicapped spot. I think it's a moot point. So maybe we can just direct them to the right channels, even behind. If there is no spots, which I doubt, maybe they can use the parking lot we have across the street from 7-Eleven. If there are any spots left for them to use.
Okay, I'll give them a call tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next item.
The next item is regarding a proposal to install new street lights. 2 weeks ago, Brian and Louis, they took about 2-3 hours ride throughout the village after dark. They inspected various points within the village to see where they can add more light. We also had the member of the public, they submit their request for where there should be a light. As you could see on your screen, came up with various locations. I can read it to you: 127 Fairview and Carriage Road and Gilbert Road side of the houses, between 5 and 9 Wimbledon, 47 Forest Row, Ravine Road at Root Court, that's a replacement. The entire Baker Hill Road between Station Road and Radnor Road, there could be some additional lights that can be used. 11 Oxford Boulevard, as well as 40 Oxford Boulevard, between 4 Oxford Boulevard and 21 Radnor Road, in front of 12 Woodburn Road, as well as 2 other locations, 26 Old Mead Road and 101 Station Road. Those are the ones that have been identified by Louis and Brian. We have received a proposal for our usual contractor, Anchors Electric Services. Brian, would you like to explain what been your discussion with them?
So basically, Anchor has contracts that we could piggyback on with other townships. But basically their proposal comes out to $22,000. You'll see that each new arm is $395. The fixtures to install the fixtures is $125. The down lead is bringing the power from the pole to the actual light. And then the fuse holder. And you'll see the one new fiberglass pole and fixture that is for the carriage light. That's for Ravine and Roof Court, bringing us to a grand total of $22,390, which is works out to a little bit more than the usual $500 for it to install a light. But there's additional work that is required on some of these poles that we typically don't have to install. So that's why it's works out to be a bit more than usual. And then I know in discussions with the board and with the mayor, we were looking to try to get these lights installed by the end of the year. And Anchor is our typical contractor. So that's, I think the most expedited way is to go with them. And and that next page, Abraham, is just a further breakdown of the cost.
So from what I'm gathering, you have spoken to Anchor and they're ready to start the process. We have received the shipment for all the lights and the nodes.
The lights, the only thing we're waiting for, which should be coming in tomorrow to Louis, to the DPW garage, is they said that they got the shipment to their warehouse here in Queens and they're overnighting them for tomorrow, is the Cobra head fixtures. So as long as we get them tomorrow, Anchor will be ready to go ASAP once we give them the okay.
Okay, I would like to have it before the Christmas begins, so we can have all these lights set up. Okay. Anyone has any questions on that? None of the board members? Okay. So we are saying that the grand total is $22,390. Would anybody like to move to go ahead with the expenditure and start the installation of these lights?
I move it.
Moved by Steve, seconded.
Yes. And Annie,
I'll second it.
Annie seconded it. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay.
While we're on the topic, I just want this to be a continuing conversation, as we find more places in the village.
Right. So I think that's a great idea. I think what we said that we're going to start these after the installation. I would again encourage people to take a look. And if there's still areas that need to be lit up more, please let us know. I'm going to ask Karen to put it on the website and again, send it on Facebook for people to return and respond. Hopefully we can get things done in a more expeditious way. Next item on the agenda.
Next item is a request to place a stop sign at the corner of Gould and Preston Road. I'm going to share that screen with you. As you can see, this is the Google Map view of it. The school, as you can see, is just 2 blocks away. According to the letters that we have received, the students usually drive down either on Polo Road or they go down on Nirvana, and then they make a left on Gould, and then they said they get to Preston. There is no stop sign at this corner. And the resident is requesting that there should be a stop sign at the corner of Preston and Gould. I'm just going to put.
Are there any stop signs on Preston and Gould, or just going east on Gould, there is no stop sign?
This is Gould and this is Preston. As you could see, there is nothing on the corner.
Okay, can I ask for a quick executive session?
Okay, before we do that, is there anything else on the item on the agenda that we need to discuss? Because I know it's
Oh,
difficult.
no, it's not, this is regarding this particular item.
It's again, I know, but we can come back to it again.
Okay.
Is there anything else on the agenda that you would like to?
There is only 4 items left. There is to set a public hearing, schedule a meeting, minutes, and abstract.
So let's do that. We get back to this because I know I would like to have an executive session at the end anyway. So maybe we can do the 2 at the same time, if everyone is okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to the next one and then we come back to this one.
The next item is to set a public hearing to amend section 357 of the Village Code that relates to commercial landscaping. Currently in the code, it is allowed to do landscaping during the week, 8 in the morning through 7 at night, on Saturdays, 9 through 7, and on Sundays, 10 through 7. There's a suggestion to amend it to allow from 8 in the morning through 6 o'clock in the afternoon during the weekdays only. A copy of the proposed amended law can be found in your packets. If you would like, I can put it up as well also.
So this is to eliminate it on the weekends and holidays.
It's to eliminate it on the weekends and holidays. Village of Kings Point passed the same, not the same, but similar local law during the summer. There are 2 other villages that they do not allow it on Saturday. They do not allow it on Sundays. They do allow it for a short period of time on Saturdays. We have 2 other villages that they have no restrictions. I can explain it more during the hearing if you would like.
So I think it's not a bad, if it's already from 8 to 7 on the weekdays, I think we would be limiting, again, I would like to hear from the board also if we should go from 8 to 6 instead of 8 to 7 if you're going to eliminate the weekends. I do believe that, I mean, I heard a couple of complaints about people doing work on Sunday and Saturday, and Saturdays and Sundays, because that's the day that people like to rest, especially with the blowers. It can be very loud. They can be heard blocks away. So I think it's a good idea to do that. But I would like to hear from the members of the board if they think that we should go ahead and reduce the weekdays to 6 o'clock, or we can keep it until 7.
I just want to make it clear that this section of the code refers to commercial landscaping. This is not going to limit the residents from cleaning their properties.
Right. Any comments?
Does it apply to schools?
We do not have jurisdictions, unfortunately, over the schools.
Because the complaints that I've heard from residents have been that the schools are doing this at 7 a.m. and that's problematic.
Well, I do believe that from what I've heard, and I don't know, Peter, if you can correct me, I know that the school is its own jurisdiction, so is the park. But I do believe that usually they go according to the codes and the recommendations of the villages they're in. Am I correct?
Yes, sir, you are.
Right. So I don't know if it can be enforced, but it can definitely be encouraged. And I think that's the letter we can send them. I think so far, for most part, every time we ask them, they actually did accommodate us. Not us, but the public who did complain. Unfortunately, we don't. I mean, maybe fortunately, we don't have jurisdiction over the school when it comes to these certain things. But I just wanted to let people know we are trying to address some of the issues that have come up. We address it in our village. And obviously, we will send these recommendations to the school and the park, and hopefully they will also abide by these to help people to have a more peaceful weekend, especially nowadays with everything that is going on.
I just want to say something to the school's credit because I do back up to the village school, and they were doing their landscaping in the morning, 7 a.m. and I thought it was going to be a problem And I went back there and I just talked to the guy, and he apologized, and he said, "I'm sorry, it was just on my route. I wasn't thinking about it." And he never did it at that hour again. They changed just with a simple request.
Right. I have heard that happen also. So I think we had a couple of concerned people who reached out. I reached out to the school, and it was stopped almost immediately. So I do appreciate them, helping us with this to make sure that the people are more content. And I think this is the right direction we're going. As far as the timing and the weekends not to be allowed by commercial landscapers, is the board okay with that? Should we go ahead and start amending?
I want to know who are the main complainants about this, and why was it brought up?
Well, a few people complained to me. I think a few people complained also. I got emails that were forwarded to me from Abraham and Karen, people who were thinking about not having Sundays. And I said, well, probably it's not a bad idea not to have the weekends.
What if you just reduce the hours, you know?
I mean, I think reducing the hours and maybe leaving it to one day on the weekend, but, you know, taking out 2 days out of 7 for the landscapers to work could have repercussions even for the residents in the village, where the landscapers don't have enough days to get the jobs done that they need to get done. I'm all in favor of making the hours begin later, and perhaps even talking about maybe one day knocking out on the weekend, but on holiday, or leaving just later hours on the holidays as well. I don't think they generally work on holidays, from my experience. But I haven't felt this kind of pressure from residents, and maybe somebody else has over here. And please speak up, but I haven't heard that many complaints. You know, to make it later on the weekends, that's okay with me. But, I mean, I've heard people complain about them any day of the week. That I've heard. You know, that people never.
Right. I mean, they do complain about the noise.
Right, and then they complain about leaves if there's too many leaves, and they complain about the grass if it's too long. So people are going to complain, but we do need to have the maintenance done, and the residents need to have it done. And I just know from personal experience with landscapers, sometimes they'll tell me that they need to do it on a weekend, and I'll ask if they could hold off on that, and they'll have to put me off for 2 weeks because of that. So it does interfere with the flow of getting all the residents done in the village. But,
Can I ask how many people complained actually? How many emails have we gotten?
This is about, I got about 2 or 3 complaints, or maybe a couple of emails.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't anything crazy, but you know what? Other villages have done it also, so I thought maybe it's the right thing to do for us as well.
Can we table this till the next meeting?
We can. Yeah. Nothing's happening now anyway. There's no landscaping happening until probably March.
Would you like to set the hearing date, or you want to postpone even setting the hearing date?
We can postpone it. There's no rush because there's no landscaping being done.
Okay. Okay. Can we move to the next item?
Yes.
The next item is to schedule a hearing for architectural and facade review for 733-741 Middle Neck Road. This case already went to the BZA. Given that the applicant is located on Middle Neck Road, for the ARC review, it should come in front of the board. So this is just to schedule a hearing. Again, just to mention, this is not a public hearing. Rather, it's in a hearing that is held in front of a public to get the comment of the board on the architectural and facade of the proposed structure. the proposed time is 8 o'clock on the next meeting, which would be December 5th, I believe.
January 5th.
I'm sorry, January 5th. Yeah, January 5th, 2021.
Anybody would like to move the meeting to be held on that day? Again, this is
I
just
move.
up.
I so move.
Moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Bart. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions?
Mayor, it's my understanding the applicant has also been cautioned to follow our procedures in preparing for that night.
Right.
Yeah, they will be submitting they will be doing the mailing to the neighbors on the 200-foot radius map that they submitted with their BOT application.
Very good.
And just so everybody else knows, Trustee Kashi just joined the meeting.
Hi,
my apologies.
Okay.
That was the last item on the agenda, on the new item. The next item is the minutes of December 1st meeting. I'm going to put it up. Just let me know when to go to the next page.
I'm ready. Ready? Okay. All right, I'm good.
Okay. Deputy Mayor, did you move it? Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstention?
Aye.
Trustee Kashi, I'm sorry. Are you abstaining from it, or you voted yes?
I voted yes.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the abstract for this coming Friday, December 18.
I make a motion to accept the abstract.
No questions, Annie?
I asked them before the meeting.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstention? None, hearing none, it passed unanimous. The only item that we have left is the stop sign request at the Gould and Preston, that it's my understanding that Deputy Mayor.
Okay. So you want to go into an executive session and then we come back?
We could have, you want public comments before we go into executive session, or?
If there's any public comments, we can hear it now. Any public comments?
If anybody from the public would like to speak, just unmute yourself, state your name and address for the record, please. Anybody?
Okay.
All right,
Let's go
we'll
to executive
go
session.
executive session.
Okay, so just give me one moment to pause the